Today we are going to be looking at the game titled Rubinstein's Immortal. It's a masterpiece between Georg Rotlewi and Akiba Rubinstein. In this game, Rubinstein uncorked one of the most brilliant combinations in all of chess. And please watch to the end of the game as I have a special gift for you. Enjoy the game. The game begins with d4, d5, and knight f3. White doesn't immediately go into the queen's gambit, and instead opts for the more flexible knight move. e6 from Rubinstein, setting up in a queen's gambit type of way, and opening up the bishop, which prepares a potential c5. e3. White chooses a very slow setup and allows black to equalize. c5. Black is the one that is playing somewhat of a queen's gambit, and he is the first to strike in the center. White responds with the counterstrike, c4, creating enormous central tension. This position resembles a type of terrace pawn structure. Knight c6 developing the knight, knight c3, and knight f6. Both players have developed their knights, and the position is very symmetrical, with the main question to both players being how will they resolve the central tension. White immediately releases the tension with d takes c5. This move seems a bit rushed, as now black can play bishop takes c5, developing his bishop to an active square. Better was to probably wait for black to move his dark square bishop and then take on c4. This is a common idea in order to gain a tempo, as black would have wasted a move. White justifies this idea by playing a3. The idea is that he wants b4 with a tempo, and then bishop b2, developing the bishop to the long diagonal. a6 from Rubinstein. This move doesn't make much sense. It doesn't create a square on a7 for the bishop, but after b4, Rubinstein plays bishop d6. He doesn't make use of the vacated a7 square. Bishop b2 developing and black castles. Queen d2. White tries to make a waiting move with his queen in hopes that black takes the c4 pawn and allows him to develop his bishop without losing a tempo. Queen e7 from Rubinstein, not taking the pawn and forcing white to first develop the bishop, and then black will take the pawn, making white lose a tempo. This is an instructive idea that is very useful and can be implemented into your own games. Bishop d3, and only now does black take on c4, and after bishop takes c4, white has wasted a move, moving his bishop to d3 and then to c4. White should have taken on d5 and then developed his bishop so that black cannot use this trick to make him lose a tempo. b5 attacking the bishop, gaining another tempo, and vacating the b7 square for the bishop. We now see why Rubinstein played a6 a few moves ago. That seemingly senseless move seemed to make sense by supporting b5, bishop d3, and rook d8, lining up the rook on the same file as the queen. Queen e2, getting the queen off of the file, and then bishop b7, Rotlewi castles, and then black plays knight e5. The idea is to trade off white's crucial f3 knight, which plays a vital role in protecting the king as well as opening up the b7 bishop. Knight takes e5 and bishop takes e5. Black's two monstrous bishops and his piece activity are enough to give him a slightly better position. f4 from white. This move is a bit too aggressive. Yes, it does attack the bishop and force it to move, but it also drastically weakens the e3 pawn. Every pawn push has its advantages and disadvantages. Bishop c7 and e4. White grabs central space and seems to have a lead in space and central control. This is good, but the cost of gaining this advantage is also extremely high. In pushing these pawns, white has severely weakened the diagonals to his king and made black's bishops even stronger. There are now many weaknesses in the black position, and Rubinstein exploits them perfectly later in the game. Rook ac8 centralizing both rooks, and now white blunders with the move e5. This move does attack the knight, but it opens up the diagonals for the black bishops. And now Rubinstein creates a masterpiece showing us the power of the bishop pair. He starts with bishop b6 check, forcing king h1. Now Rubinstein plays knight g4, sacrificing the knight and opening up the queen's diagonal. You cannot take the knight, as black would then take the bishop on d3 and the minor pieces would die. Rotlewi played the best move, bishop e4, trying to trade off black's strong bishop and relieve some of the pressure. Rubinstein counterattacked with queen h5, threatening checkmate. White played g3, attacking the queen and opening up the white queen's defense of the h2 pawn. Now Rubinstein's queen and bishop are hanging. I ask you to please like, subscribe, and then pause the video to see if you can find the brilliant combination that Rubinstein uncorked in this position. In this position, with 2 pieces hanging, Rubinstein decided to give away a 3rd piece with the brilliant rook takes c3. If white played h3 instead of g3, then the move rook takes c3 is still the best move. The best move for white now is to take the bishop on b7. Rook takes g3 with the idea of rook h3 and applying maximum pressure to the h2 pawn. White plays rook c1, and I think the easiest and most practical way to win here is with knight takes h2. Queen takes h2 and rook h3, and black will pick up the queen and should go on to win the game without any problems. In the game, white didn't take the bishop and instead took the queen. This means that you, the viewer, have to pause the video again to find another brilliant move in this position. Rubinstein had 3 pieces hanging, but that wasn't enough for him. So in this position he sacrificed the 2nd rook. Rook d2, and now no matter what white does, he will get checkmated. White played queen takes d2, allowing bishop takes e4 check, queen g2, and now see if you can find the move that led to white resigning. Here Rubinstein finished off the game with rook h3. The bishop on e4 can't be taken due to rook takes h2 checkmate, and rook h2 checkmate is coming anyway as the queen is pinned. I hope you enjoyed the game, and now for the gift I was talking about in the beginning of the video. Check the description of the video to find the link to a Elite Chess study with this game and other famous games. These games are all deeply annotated, and I think that they can be useful for players trying to improve. If you found this game instructive and learned something, please consider liking and subscribing. It's the easiest, brilliant move of your life. Thanks for watching, and now, go promote some pawns.